Hey everyone, and welcome to Rebel Ramblings. This is my Star Wars channel that I just recently set up, at least from this recording anyway, not too long ago. And this channel is basically all about my love of Star Wars and everything that happens to sort of go with it, including obviously the movies, mainly, but also other things like, you know, some of the shows, the TV shows, the streaming shows, as well as a lot of like collectibles and specifically a lot of the figure lines, most specifically the 3 3/4 inch line, which is something it's very close to my heart because, of course, as a kid growing up, that was a figure line that I was always drawn to. In fact, as a kid, Star Wars toys were my go-to, you know, more than any other toy line at the time, because Star Wars has always been a huge part of my life. You know, when my parents first showed it to me when I was like really young, maybe I think it was around 4 or so. Yeah, I didn't quite understand everything that was going on, but it had such a huge impact on me that I started watching things differently. I started watching other movies differently. I started watching TV shows differently. I became so fascinated by movies and what I call sort of visual storytelling. And it really, for me, in my opinion, is sort of like it was that first thing that happened to me that began my love of movies in general, as well as my interest in filmmaking and, you know, storytelling in a visual medium and all of that. I kind of really feel like that was kind of the nugget that sort of was the start of it all. And then over the years, that kind of just blossomed from there, just kind of grew and grew and grew. And for those of you who don't know, I do actually have another channel. I've had another channel actually for many years. It's technically my name. It's youtube.com/Richard Diaz. That's my name. But it does sort of have a subheading that I call Vague Ramblings, just because it's something I can do. I can ramble on sometimes, and not always everyone can sort of understand what the heck I'm talking about. Now that channel, even though it started out as just a means of me showcasing different work that I've done, either in filmmaking or in video production or photography or things like that, but it kind of grew from there because I started sharing a lot of my interests when it comes to movies, especially my love of like horror films and stuff. And over time, that channel kind of grew, and that actually is what that channel has become. I do have a link to that channel down in the description. But the thing that I never really did on that channel was actually talk to, at least not too often, about how much Star Wars means to me. And I would kind of bring it up here and there, but you know, the majority of my viewers on that channel, you know, they prefer a lot of the stuff that I normally talk about. A lot of the horror films, a lot of physical releases. I'm very much a believer in physical media, you know, DVDs, Blu-rays, 4K discs. Nothing against streaming, but, you know, physical media I do believe in strongly. And even collectibles that have to do, you know, mainly with horror films and things like that. So Star Wars kind of didn't quite fit in, even though it's the other thing that I love so much. So at one point I decided, like, you know what, why don't I just create a second channel, and that's going to be my Star Wars channel. Indeed, that's what this is, which is also where the name comes from, because again, the sort of subheading to my other channel, Vague Ramblings, I was like, wow, what should I call this channel? I went through kind of different names that were kind of cute and kind of offbeat and everything, and then just one day it just hit me. It's like, well, what if I called it Rebel Ramblings? You know, so it's kind of linked to the other channel. And indeed, that's what it is. Now, will it remain that? I don't know. I kind of like it, so it probably will. I do like that there's at least some link to my other channel. Now, as far as what I'm going to cover on here, it's going to be a bit of a range until, you know, I'm sure at some point, whatever people like kind of respond to the most will most likely be what the channel kind of becomes. But in the, at least here in the beginning, it's going to be, you know, kind of broad. I'm going to cover all the stuff I love to talk about Star Wars. Obviously, the movies, and the themes and the characters and the stories and things like that, but also approach them not just as a viewer, but also as a filmmaker, and why some of those things are important when it comes to storytelling, screenwriting, and things like that. And then obviously all like the newer stuff, you know, the TV shows, maybe some of the new movies, I don't know, a couple that are supposedly in the works. And we share thoughts and ideas and things like that on all of that stuff. And then obviously a lot of the collecting things, again, especially when it comes to the 3 3/4 inch line, which again, I was very much into as a kid. And a lot of that actually carried over into adulthood. I was actually still collecting stuff here and there. And then I did take a break, and then I got back into it briefly, and then I took a long break, and then literally got back into it, I think maybe 3 years ago, maybe 3.5 years ago, somewhere around there. Well, I should say the interest started around that time, and then I technically got like fully back into it probably more like 2.5 years ago. So a lot of my Star Wars collecting is also going to be a part of this channel, including something I have wanted to do actually my whole life, which is create sort of like the ultimate Star Wars display that I've always wanted. Now that's going to be a long process because the room that I'm actually going to use for that, I currently use basically as storage. When I moved a couple years ago, I needed some more space just for boxes and things like that, stuff I didn't know what to do with, and that room basically became that. Some of those things will be moved to other rooms, other things will be moved into storage, and then a lot of that stuff too, I'm actually going to go through and make some decisions and honestly just get rid of them, you know, sell them, trade them, stuff like that. And then eventually that room, I'm going to start setting up my Star Wars display using the 3 3/4 inch line of all different kinds, not just like old stuff that I've had for a kid, which luckily I don't have everything, but I have a lot of stuff from when I was a kid. Some of the stuff that has come out since then, and even some of the more recent stuff as well, in the current vintage collection line. And I'm so excited to get into that. So now in that sort of time frame until I can really fully, because there's a lot I still need to do in that room to get it ready, but there's a lot of stuff I can do between now and then. And one of the things I came up with, it's like, well, what if I had sort of what I like a preview line? Because one of the things I always dug was, before one of the movies came out, they always had like preview figures and things like that. And I always thought that was kind of a cool thing. I was like, what if I did that? Because there's some stuff that I might be able to open, but most of the stuff I probably won't until that room is a little bit further along. So what I'm thinking of doing is almost having like a preview series of, so I can showcase stuff that will eventually be opened and displayed. And it'll be a mix of older stuff from years ago, including stuff I've more recently acquired, and then even the new stuff that's literally coming out now. So for now, that's kind of the goal for the channel. So hopefully, I know a lot of you came over from my old channel, so welcome. And if you happen to come across this channel, again, welcome. I hope you stay. Also hope you give my other channel a try if you're into that kind of thing. And this is the start of actually a pretty new journey for me. So I'm very excited and I'm really happy to bring all you guys along with me. A lot of stuff that we can kind of share and talk about along the way. So again, welcome to my Star Wars channel, Rebel Ramblings. And until I come up with something kind of cool to end these videos on, I'll just end it with what I normally say with my videos on my other channel. Thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next one.